Hi, my name is Michael, and welcome to the Metaphysical Journey. In last week's message, which was part one of two messages, I spoke about a card spread that I did. It was a three-card spread called Advice from the Universe. The first card answered the question, what I need to know, and that was the moon. The second card was a new perspective, and that's Six of Swords. And the third card is action to take, and that was Seven of Wands. So in last week's message, I spent quite a bit of time talking about the moon card, and I took a segment of the Fool's Journey, starting with the death card, going all the way through the moon and then into the sun, to talk about a transformation that we go through when we kind of dive, do some shadow work, go deep, reflect, and really go into the things that we weren't necessarily conscious of before, and how that transition takes place, and then how we emerge from that. Now, I do realize that I called the little crustacean a lobster, and that is not what everybody calls it, I'm sure. But in my defense, I live in Arkansas. And the crustaceans we have, we call them crawdaddies. They're really small, they're not big. And when I go to the restaurant Red Lobster, the things that look like the thing on the moon card, they call them lobsters. So I went with lobster. Anyway, that was in last week's message. And this week, what I want to wrap this up is the last two cards of the three-card spread. And so this will be the Six of Swords and the Seven of Wands. So you've gone through the transformation, you've gone deep, you've seen some things that you just weren't really aware of before. And it's really changed your perspective on a lot of stuff. And once you see something, you can't unsee it, right? So you've learned more about yourself. You've seen some clarity on a situation that you might be in, maybe a relationship or some type of a partnership, work situations, friends, and you're not really surprised because you've felt for a long time that something's just not right, but you've just put up with it, and then you've gone along in order to get along. But now you can no longer do that. So once you have this revelation and this new clarity, and you come out of the sun and you've gone through that, you've gone through the moon, and then you go into the sun card where it's like it's a whole new day. You've been reborn in a new person, and you're moving forward. Moving forward is a challenge, and that is where the Six of Swords came in, the new perspective. Now, the Six of Swords it's actually a very haunting card. And I will say this, my tarot mentor, Psychic Angela Thomas, said that each card is its own universe. And she is so right, because these can be interpreted in so many different ways depending on the situation, the circumstance. So every card reader is going to have a different take on it, and every card reader is correct based on the energy they are picking up when they're doing a reading. So that's why I love the tarot. It just never stops with its meanings. But I want to take a little different perspective on this, maybe. The Six of Swords. So you're moving forward. And if you look at the cards, you will see a person rowing a boat with a stick. And then you have a woman and a child seated there. And in front of them are the six swords. Now, swords are about thoughts. And in the process of the fool's journey that I covered in the last message, it took you through a lot of different stages of growth and development. And it's very thought driven because you're in your head the whole time going through all of these things. And also you're feeling them as well. So here we have a woman and a child that's in a boat, and they are headed out. Now, on one side of the boat, you have, of course, rough water. So they're leaving a very challenging situation, probably. It was rough, it was rocky. It just wasn't ideal. And the way she's huddled and covered, and they're not looking back at whoever is, doing the card, but they're headed forward and their heads are down. It's very possible that you have found yourself in a situation now where you have to truly just move forward with something. You don't know what else to do. You can't take it any longer. You've seen it for what it is. There are no more lies that you can hide behind, and you have to take action. And that's a hard thing to do. In this boat, it's weighted down by the six swords, and they're heavy. And those represent the deep, heavy thoughts that have put into this decision. It's not like she and the child said, let's jump in the boat, we're out of here. There's a lot of work that went into this, just like there will be a lot of thought and work that goes into you in your life as you move forward from something. And what you're moving away from, who knows? In the card, we don't know what they're leaving. We just know they're moving forward. So it's not a decision that was made super quickly, unless it's life and death type of thing, and then you're out of there. But more than likely, this has taken years to get to where you are right now, and now you're moving forward. With those six swords there, think about that. If each of those swords represent an abuse or a thought, or just each could represent a year that you put up with something that wasn't good. It was unhealthy, and it just really was slowly destroying your life. They're traveling forward with those swords. What's interesting about this is that if you pull the swords out of the boat, it'll sink. Probably because they're driven into the boat. So they're sailing forward into the unknown. They don't know where they're going. They're just believing it's different than what they're leaving behind. And there's no luggage or anything in this boat. They're literally just getting themselves out. And that's a worst case scenario, but that may be how you're feeling right now, that you're going to just walk away and leave everything behind because you no longer need it, because you have to do something for yourself. This is a very horrible spot to be in, but it's probably very necessary for you to move forward on your path in life. So they're sailing forward into the unknown. They believe, I'm sure, that there's something better. It's got to be better than it was. And they're going in faith, and they're being rowed across by this person in behind them. So each of those swords represent the memories and the thoughts that they had. When we do shadow work, so often we go into that because the idea is the no, not the idea, the intention is to go back to something from our childhood, or some people do it in past life type things, but it's largely it's our childhood. It's things that we felt as a child, because that's what fuels us in our adult life, those traumas that we faced. And the intention is to go back and do the healing and be able to move on. Now, we can't change the past. We know that. We can't change what's already happened. We just have to deal with it the best we can. And in those shadow periods of doing that work, we're filled often with a lot of remorse, grief, and a lot of guilt. And we find ourselves in our present day, we can't move forward because we're still trapped or haunted by the past. And the things that we're haunted by are the swords in the boat as we're trying to move forward. And it's so weighted down, we can't make any traction. So we go back to try to fix and correct. We'll never forget what we went through, what we did, and we'll never forget what we experienced and how that made us feel. But perhaps we're not supposed to forget. Maybe the reason that we go through the things that we go through is to have that memory, that sword that will go in our boat. So as we move forward, we're taking that with us, not as guilt or remorse, but as a reminder of what we survived and what we walked away from and the type of person we walked away as. It's not always a bad thing to have those memories that we carry with us. They're battle scars. They're little badges and patches and things that we have that we carry forward to remind us of where we came from and to remind us that we don't want to go back to that. So this person's traveling just with no luggage, just with their thoughts, their memories as they move into the unknown, into the calmer waters, to a happier life. So moving away from something, moving forward is never an easy decision. You spend a lot of time working on that. A lot of thought goes into it. You run all the scenarios through your head. What if? What if? What will it be like? And many times, because we don't know what lies ahead, the fear of the unknown can outweigh the fear of the known of where we are. Remember that the segment of the Fool's Journey was about going into the unconscious, the things that we're not consciously aware of, not the subconscious, but just the things it's like we don't know. And through this process, they're made aware to us. And then we have to deal with them. And the Six of Swords is that dealing with phase of how you're going to deal with it. You can either stay where you are, it's your choice, or you can say, I'm going to risk everything and take nothing, and I'm going to move forward. Now, when I say take nothing, I don't mean your material possessions and all of that. I mean the part of yourself that no longer really matters. And sometimes what we leave behind are large chunks of our ego, of that need to be right. And we have to know when to walk away. Now that leads to the next card, which the last one, which was kind of advice, and that's the Seven of Wands. Now this one is interesting, the way I interpret it, and this was a reading I did for myself. I'm just sharing this with you, but it's a great spread if you have the opportunity to try it for yourself. So this one was action to take. Seven of Wands. Now, what does this mean? When we look at the card, it looks like a person's fighting. They're ready to fight to defend themselves. And in our life, we always have to be ready to defend ourselves for our thoughts and our opinions and all of that. And that's where ego gets really wrapped up. But when you look at the cards, you have to ask I mean, you don't have to, but ask yourself, who is this person fighting? It's time to ask yourself, who are you fighting against? Is it a fight that even needs to be fought? Is it still something you have passion and believe in? Or is what you're leaving behind part of that? It no longer works. You no longer think the same way. It's just not who you are anymore. And you're leaving that behind. That's not in the luggage you're going to take with you. You're leaving it. So this Seven of Wands shows up as a reminder that sometimes we just have to put the wand down and say, I'm not going to fight this anymore. I don't know who my enemy is in the card. We don't know. It's very possible that the enemy that this person's fighting is actually themselves. It's their own. They're fighting against themselves. They're fighting against a belief structure or something that just no, they don't even believe it anymore, but they have been doing it for so long. It's just habit, and they're fighting. So moving forward in the Six of Swords into a new environment, you don't want to take the old war with you. That you want to leave behind. And also, too, with the Seven of Wands, what it shows is that in this period of change that you're going through, really stop and ask yourself, what do I believe in? What is important to me? Where is my heart in this? Do I want to continue struggling against something, some unknown fear or belief system or whatever it may be? Do I want to continue struggling and warring with that? Or is it time to let that go? Because there are new things ahead for me. I don't know what they are, but I know it's not that anymore. I don't want to take that with me. I want to drop that and leave it. So the struggle that you have may simply be with yourself. making that decision. I'm done. I really want to leave all of that. I'm tired of fighting myself. Most of the battles that we have, that battle you have every morning in the shower where you're having that imaginary argument with someone, that's not real. It doesn't exist. It's in your head. We all do that. It's like, when I get to work, if they say this, I'm going to say that. And we have these imaginary fights. And I've talked about that many times, but it's time to let that go. We don't want to take the fight with us. And that is going to be very hard to do because those are patterns that we have established, thought processes and patterns, and we have to really work hard to change those and shift them. So that's truly the advice that we get from the universe. The action to take is stop the fight. You don't need to fight anymore. Your life should not be a struggle. It shouldn't be something it's a daily challenge. It should be happy. And if you're in a situation where you are not happy and you're not appreciated or you don't feel appreciated and you don't feel valued and you are a person that appreciates and values other people, so you're giving this energy and love to them, but you're not getting it back, it's time to consider, is that where you really need to be? Now, in family situations, you can't just walk away from your family, of course. No one wants to do that. But the Seven of Wands can also be about establishing boundaries because you have the wands in front of this person. They're holding their wand, but there's a row of them in front. Maybe it's saying establish boundaries. That's one of the easiest things you can do. These are boundaries for you. This person is behind the wands and they're not moving forward in front of them. So establish your boundaries of saying, this is who I am. This is what I believe to be for me. I'm not going to intrude my thoughts on other people, but I'm going to stay firm in mine. And I am prepared to defend myself and stand my ground behind my convictions and my beliefs, whatever they may be. So those are the three cards that I pulled. And again, this reading, let me just do it one more. I have to pull my notes back up here again, but this reading was called Advice from the Universe, and it's three cards. The first card is What Do I Need to Know? The second card is A New Perspective, and the third card is Action to Take. Now, to kind of wrap this up, I wanted to pull an additional card for everyone. And what I pulled out was the Seven of Cups. Now, this one's really cool. It goes in alignment with this reading about, seeing the Fool's Journey, seeing this stuff, becoming aware of things, journeying forward into something different, leaving something behind. And then we have the Seven of Wands of, being sure of who you are, standing your ground, ready to defend whatever this is, and also knowing when to drop the fight and walk away. And then we get another seven, and we get the Seven of Cups. Now, this was cool because you have this person looking at all these cups, and this can be about fantasy, imagination, delusion, and trying to make a choice between these cups. And if you look at them, one of them, there's a snake coming out of it. You have some interesting stuff in those cups. So it's a time that really stop and think. If you're going to ask yourself, like in the Seven of Wands, who am I and what do I believe? It's also time to ask in the Seven of Cups, what do I truly want out of life? And cups are about the emotions. What choice? You have a lot of options in front of you. Here you have seven. What are you going to choose? You want to choose the one that feels closest to your heart. There's a lot of, when I was talking in last week's message about the barking dogs and the howling wolves, there's a lot of people, a lot of different things. I'm going to say different things, not just people, there to distract you, to get you off track. You've come this far, you put this much work into everything that you do. Be very mindful of how you move forward, of what you choose for yourself. Don't choose something for you because someone else says it's good or it's the right thing to do. You have to stay true to how you feel in your heart. Use your intuition. Let your guides lead you. Because if you have all these cups with amazing things in them, except the snake, that's not really that amazing. But if you have all these amazing things there, what are you going to choose? If you choose wrong, it's not really going to help you that much. So you have to go with your heart. What does your heart feel? And that is the card for the collective for this message. The Seven of Cups. Really think about that. What are you wanting to manifest for yourself? What do you feel that you're worthy of? And if you don't feel worthy of anything, that's an area to start looking at, definitely, because you are worthy of anything that you want. You are worthy of that. You have to get yourself in alignment with that thought, that idea to to feel that, not just hear it or see it, but to feel it. And on this journey, coming from the Six of Swords, they're traveling with their thoughts, but this Seven of Cups is a time where your thoughts and your heart come together as one, and you make the right choice for you as to what you want, this new destination that you're going to, or that you perhaps have already arrived, what you want that to look like, and what you want to establish for yourself there. Anyway, I hope that these cards have helped in some way as you transition through your life, because it's a constant change and transition. We have a lot of different things energetically that are happening. A lot of changes are taking place for people. And you have to, I would have to say that surely you have felt that. You know that something's different. You don't know what the future looks like. But that's where it's exciting. That's where you have all these options in front of you now, or the Seven of Cups wouldn't have shown up. So you have this beautiful world in front of you, laid out in front of you, and you've struggled and worked very hard to get to where you are right now, to have these opportunities and options in front of you. Choose wisely. You deserve the best life because you're an amazing person. Thank you for following me on the metaphysical journey, and I hope you have an amazing day on purpose. Bye.